All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the 83 to Infinity podcast, hosted by Jonesy and Brown. That is Mike Jones. I am John Brown. Remember, you can download all your favorite podcasts from us. Just go to bitwsports.com. Hit us up, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at bitw sports or at Jonesy and Brown. The Sixers have taken a 2-0 lead, a commanding 2-0 lead after beating the Nets by 12 in game two. We're here to talk about it with a good friend of the show, a family member, a man we consider family in the Jonesy and Brown universe, from LibertyBallers.com, our friend Adio Royster. What is happening, my friend?
The senior black correspondent has returned for NBA playoff Sixers action. Let's go.
You are appreciated, man. We appreciate you representing everything black on LibertyBallers.com, making sure the black and the blacks are represented on LibertyBallers.com.
Okay, John, can I just say never use the term the blacks ever again?
What?
I'm gonna have to go with him on that one.
You're gonna have to go with that.
It's not as bad as the N-word or colored, but it's pretty bad.
It's up there. It's right up there.
It's up there. It is up there.
The African Americans?
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
It sounds better without the article before it.
Yes.
Eliminate the.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough. Well, anyway,
I'm on this podcast via Liberty Ballers, and this is going out over the internet. So basically, what you're doing is that you're saying that I'm aligning myself with someone that refers to black people, African Americans, as the blacks. You are messing up my bag here.
You know what? And one thing that we are dedicated to here at Jonesy and Brown is making sure the people that come on our show do not mess up their bag. So if I have messed up your bag by adding the word "the" to the word "blacks," then I apologize.
Just saying, man.
The opinions and I will say
Just
this:
saying.
the opinions and views expressed by John Brown do not represent Adio Royster or LibertyBallers.com. Is that good enough? Is that a good enough disclaimer?
It's a start.
Unless you're talking about Ben Simmons.
Understood. Well, you know, here's the and that is actually a good segue into what we're talking about, because we're talking about Sixers and Nets, and it's almost like talking about Ben Simmons is a completely different conversation. Like, you don't even think of Ben Simmons when you think of the Nets. Like, when you talk, if you want to talk about the Nets, we can talk about the Nets. If you want to talk about Ben Simmons, that's a whole different show, because it's not even like the two even go together.
He has a contract with the Nets, but he doesn't actually play for the Nets.
Yeah. Like, he hasn't even been, like, we all live in Philadelphia. We all know how sports media works in this market. We know what makes stories, what people will talk about, what people will squawk about, what things that will become issues that might not be issues. You have a highly paid, high-profile player on your team who's unavailable for the playoffs and is not on the bench for the first two games, even though they're in Philadelphia, even given his history.
You know good and well he wasn't coming to Philly.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I understand the makeup of the player, and I know that. I understand that. Like, I know why he's not here, but the fact of the matter is he's not here. He's not around. What does that say? What message does that send?
The Sixers wasted the number 1 overall pick. That's pretty much the only discernible answer I've come up with.
Ben Simmons doesn't like basketball?
Apparently not. That guy's a clown. I don't know any other way around it. That guy's a loser.
I don't know if I'm ready to make that leap just yet. Like, I don't know what his mindset is. I'm sure he would love to play basketball again, but it would probably have to be the perfect situation, like San Antonio or something.
I don't know if that would do it. I don't know what would do it for that guy at that.
Yeah, I just don't get that guy. I really don't.
I mean, he basically had a shot to be the man in Brooklyn after everybody skipped town.
Yeah.
And he decided to check out instead.
It's like, I look at it as, I'm not necessarily ready to crown the Knicks actual kings of New York basketball. Of course, traditionally and historically they are. But this Knicks team, I'm not necessarily sure I'm ready to crown them the kings of New York. I feel like that title is there for the taking. You push, Kyrie's gone, KD is gone. It doesn't take much to take the crown. You have the opportunity to take the crown, and it's like you're just leaving it there. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. Let's just talk about players who are actually playing.
So I would like to push back on something you said. Ben Simmons might have had the chance to be the man, but yeah, the way Mikal Bridges has been lighting it up the last 2 months, he wouldn't have been the man anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity was there, but there was somebody willing to actually seize the moment to grab the brass ring.
Right.
I mean, I agree, but I would also say that the way that Ben Simmons, when he is playing, likes to facilitate, and how Bridges' strength is a little bit more as a finisher than a playmaker, shot creator, they could have actually paired very well together.
Yes. You'd have Ben Simmons, you'd have Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, two bona fide scorers. Nick Claxton, depending on how you feel about having two guys on the floor that can't really shoot, and then who's that fifth guy?
Dinwiddie, maybe.
Ideally, you would want another shooter out there like Seth Curry, because if Ben Simmons is in your starting five, you want him to have the ball.
True, but you've got options as shooters. You got Joe Harris, Seth Curry. There are guys who can go out there and put up shots.
Yeah.
As we have seen in game 1 and 2. In game 1, it was Mikal Bridges going off in the first half, shut out in the second half. In game 2, it was Cameron Johnson all over the first half, shut down in the second half. And that just goes to Brooklyn's future. They have those two guys to build around. With all due respect to them, neither is probably your number one option on a championship team, but they're solid 2s and 3s.
Agreed.
Agreed. So, given the point that you just made, one of the biggest criticisms of Glenn Doc Rivers is his in-game adjustments. But we've now seen two straight games where a player has gotten off to hot starts that were kind of shut down in the second half. Is he showing improvement as far as in-game adjustments, or is this just beating a team that you should be beating?
I'll defer to Jonesy first before I answer. I want to hear what he kind of thinks on this, because I feel like he's been as critical of Doc Rivers as I have.
Okay, I'll say this. Sure, I'll give Doc some credit, but you're and I sent this to you and Javon Alford in the text. I'm like, when you're dealing with a team that literally has no interior presence, and you know that all you're going to be getting is 80-90% jump shots, at some point they're going to go cold. You're just not going to hit against NBA defense. You're not going to shoot 70% from the 3-point line all game long. Just doesn't work like that. So you see hot in one half, cold, like a little cooler in the other half. Look around the league. That's most of your star players. They'll have an 8-9 point half, then a 20 point half. That's just how the game works.
Right.
So it's not something I give Doc a lot of credit for. I think it's more a reflection of a lack of a balanced attack from Brooklyn because they have no inside presence.
I'll say this about what Jonesy is talking about with regards to Doc Rivers. I think his adjustments in games 1-2 at halftime have been really, really good. They've shut down the hot scores of the first half. Okay, my pushback to that would be it's Mikal Bridges and Cameron Johnson. Let's see what happens when it's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown going off, and they sustain it over 4 quarters rather than 2. So I'll give Doc some credit for this round, but I'm going to reserve a lot of judgment until the first half, the third quarter, that game 1 in Boston.
No, I hear you. And it's funny because it's like I'm trying not to fall into that trap of taking everything from this series and automatically looking forward until they've actually won this series. Like you look at game 1 and then first thing says, well, could they do that against Boston? You look at what happened in game 2. But, well, can they do that against Boston? And I'm sitting there to myself like, all right, let's make sure that we're actually playing Boston before we start looking at Boston. Because I'm old, y'all. I know heartbreak can come. I've seen it come in many different ways. And I'm just like, I don't want to look too far ahead. I try not to look too far ahead. Call me cynical, call me pessimistic, call me whatever you want, call me a Negadelphian, call whatever. It is what it is. I need to see us beat Brooklyn before I start really talking about what they can do against Boston. The floor recognizes brother Royster.
John, you can get ready for Boston. You can get better. You can get ready for Boston right now. You can get ready for Boston right now.
I can't do it. No,
you can get ready for Boston right now. I'm telling you, Brooklyn does not have the talent to keep up with the Sixers over I'm going to say 5-game series. There are people out here that were saying Sixers in 6, Sixers in 7. No, I don't know. I don't know what they were getting from Nino Brown, but it must have been that real good stuff because this thing is going to be over. This thing is going to be over. This thing is going to be over. This series could possibly be over by Saturday.
Yeah, I said no more than 5. If it goes 6, something went wrong.
Yeah, somebody went down or somebody had a real cold night or something. But if I'm the brooms are out in my house right now.
That's what I've been. That is what I've been on because I'm going to be honest. I said 6 on 6.
John's out here.
I said 6 games.
John's out here shaking ice because he's about to pour a cold bucket of ice water on both of us right now.
No. I'm just saying. No, I could be wrong. And the way this team has looked in the first 2 games, I admit that I probably was wrong. I did say 6 on 6. I did think this series would go 6 games.
All right. So see, here's the thing. This is why I say 5 at the most. And the reason is this. Generally, when you have like a true superstar, not what everybody flavor of the week superstar, but a true superstar in the NBA, there are generally 2 approaches. Either I'm going to guard them one-on-one with my best defender and just try to make them work hard and shut down everyone else, or I'm sending multiple defenders at them to shut them down, and I'm going to make the other players beat me. Brooklyn can't actually take either approach with Embiid because they have to send multiple guys at Embiid just to make him work hard.
Yes.
So that results in like with the cascading effect of what you see from that is by the third, fourth quarter of every game, Brooklyn's out of gas and out of options. It's just not a good matchup for them.
No, agreed. And it's like we watched 2 games where you truly haven't necessarily seen that MVP Embiid game. And it's not like Embiid has had 2 bad games.
But that's my point.
I'm speaking to your point.
Everything at him. They're sending everything at him to make him work hard, not to stop him.
And because Embiid is that superstar player, not just a really good player. I think agreed. Joel Embiid is a superstar.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The likelihood that you could have that Embiid game in these next 2 games in Brooklyn, there's a pretty good chance of that. Like you had a game where Embiid was good. 2 games where Embiid was good. Other players on the team stepped up. Tobias Harris was solid in 2 games. Harden was really good game 1. Maxey was really good in game 2. So you haven't necessarily had that game where Embiid just takes over. And that could happen in either game 3 or
against
game
Brooklyn, 4. Embiid played 37 minutes in game 1. He had 37 minutes in game 1, 33 in game 2. Do we need more than like 30 minutes from Embiid to beat Brooklyn? Getting to see, I mean, I would prefer if he just gets to Boston healthy.
I would too.
No, I would too. No, I understand.
But I'll say this real quick though. It's not like, to me, like Embiid has actually been playing. You heard you say like he's been good. I would say Embiid has been masterful from the standpoint. If you remember Embiid a couple years ago, when those double teams and traps come, you could pretty much count on a turnover.
Yeah.
Embiid at this point is just making the right play. And rather than forcing, he's inviting the double team. Okay, Harden's open. Okay, Maxey's open. Okay, Tobias is open. And if he's going to do that, on top of being that threat to make the 15-foot layup, because that's what I call his mid-range jump shot. It's a 15-foot layup. That thing's automatic. So the way they have to guard that, plus he's making the right decisions out of the double teams, he's really dominating the game without having to score 40, 50 points.
Right. And shout out Playoff Toby for showing up. I appreciate it. Yeah. Playoff Toby's in the building, and I love it.
I love it too. I want to see Playoff Toby in Brooklyn, though. You know, like I've seen it. He's done it at home, and I feel like that's something we've seen in the past, where we've seen Playoff Toby at home at times. Would love to see Playoff Toby game 3. I would really love to see Playoff Toby in game 4.
I don't even need bubble Toby. I don't need bubble Toby. Just playoff Toby is fine.
Playoff Toby, not necessarily bubble
anything
Toby.
else.
I got you.
Give me an efficient 15 to 18, some boards, and play hard on defense.
Active Toby.
And a couple timely buckets. Like if you look at the stretch, I want to say game 2, like there was a stretch in the third quarter where they took the lead and stayed in the lead. Toby was active, offensive board, second chance point, making some open jump shots.
20-5 run.
Exactly. That was a lot of Toby in that run.
Would love to see it. Need to see that. All right, what are your expectations for Thursday night? Thursday night, 7:30 game tips up. Right now, what are your expectations? What should fans expect to see?
A win.
Pretty much. I expect to end the night up 3-0.
I don't know how else I need to formulate that statement. I can certainly expand on it if need be. Like, that's fine. Right now on FanDuel, I'm seeing the Sixers as 4.5-point favorites. Yeah, they'll cover. They will cover that.
You said 4.5, and I thought that sounded like a short line.
Yeah, I would probably have it more closer to like 7 because they've won both games by double digits. So I'm like, why will that change just because they're in Brooklyn? I expect here's what I will say. I do expect Brooklyn to come out very hard in that first quarter.
Yeah.
They're going to look to punch the Sixers in the mouth really quick on their home floor because if you're a young team and literally your entire offense is transition because they do not have a half-court offense that I have seen ever since they traded for Mikal Bridges. They get out and run. They're a young team. That's what they do. They get out and they run, and it's a college offense. A lot of drive and kick, a lot of screens, a lot of rolling, a lot of cutting. So Brooklyn's going to come out with a lot of energy. So let them have that first quarter, I say, and then just pick up the pieces and match in the second quarter.
And you kind of saw that in game 2, where we talked about how well the Sixers shot in game 1, and we knew that they weren't going to shoot as well as they did in game 1 in game 2. And you saw the Sixers shoot, their shooting was a little bit poorer.
Yeah.
Brooklyn came out and shot a little bit better, and they were able to jump out to a lead. But then in the third quarter, it was tree shaking time. And you saw the Sixers start to make shots. They come out, they come out on a run in the third quarter, and then by the time the fourth quarter came around, you were like, "Oh, okay, we're done messing around."
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out, Brooklyn. God bless you. Good night.
So I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but do you guys remember the Tyson McNeely fight? That first fight when Tyson got out of jail. What was McNeely saying the whole time? It's like, "Oh, I'm going to run at him. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. He's not going to be ready." He came out firing from the opening bell. Landed like 1 or 2 shots, and then he remembered, "Oh wait, I'm fighting Mike Tyson."
Yeah.
And we know how that ended. So I feel like that's what's going to happen in game 3.
And in the famous words of Mike Tyson, everybody's got a plan.
Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Yes, exactly. All right, real quick before we let you go, before the show, I said I would give Adio some time to talk about other things in the NBA playoffs, including this Sacramento Kings.
Oh, you're letting me take my lap? Okay.
Yes, go ahead, sir. I mean, I see one. I want to say I really like that hat, that Sixers hat you got on.
So yeah,
and of course I'm matching it. I'm matching it, of course, with the Allen Iverson practice T-shirt.
Nice,
very nice.
I get dressed for this podcast, fellas. I don't know what kind of podcast do you think I am here?
You're better. You're better than me. I got the Philadelphia Stars hat on today.
See, I respect that.
I saw the USFL on the other side. I was wondering if that was the Stars hat you were rocking.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I had to go with the Stars hat today. I had an opportunity to at least change my hat for the show, and I didn't. That just makes Adio better than me.
Our mutual friend Jovan, who is listening right now, will appreciate the Philadelphia Stars hat.
Yeah. Yes.
But yes, about my Sacramento Kings, and I'm claiming them now because everywhere on the internet I saw Warriors in 5, Warriors in 6, Warriors in 7. I'm like, did we just conveniently forget that Golden State is trash on the road? Or the fact that Sacramento won 48 games? Or the fact that when Sacramento is good, and I've been in the building when Sacramento has been like flirting with goodness,
That crowd is crazy.
That Sacramento crowd is no joke. I had so much fun taking in like a Kings Wizards game. I think it was. I got the ticket for like $15. I was visiting a friend, but like that crowd gets into it, man. Like they are no joke. I'm not saying that Kings fans rival like Philly sports fans in general, but from a basketball standpoint, oh hell yeah, they love those Kings. They love their Kings out there.
The King, it's like I think people are fooled because unfortunately there have been too many long stretches of time where the Kings have been trash.
Right.
That like people think that because the Kings have been trash for long periods of time that the Kings fans won't come out. But you saw it back in the day. Yeah, back in the day when it was Jay Will and Chris Webber, and even better when it was Mike Bibby and Chris Webber. You know, when the Kings were legitimate rivals to the Lakers. And I understand what Shaq might say. Shaq might come out and say, "Oh, the Queens were never rivals," but those were good series.
They were fun series, but to be a rivalry, both teams have to win at some point.
Yeah, true. Good point. Touche. I will not dispute that point.
But yeah,
they were good series.
They were great series.
But yeah, I put $20 on Kings in 6, and I was just like, I'm feeling really good about this right now.
As you should. Right now, sitting up 2-0, and Draymond suspended for Game 3.
How you feel about that?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Mike Jones with the lob. I like that.
I put it up. I put this up on Facebook and on Twitter. You can follow me at Adio Royster on Twitter. NBA Commissioner Adio Royster would have said 2 games, $75,000 fine. And if Golden State happens to lose games 3 and 4, then that is Draymond's fault. Okay. I listened to Stephen A. Smith on First Take this morning, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm sick and tired of the NBA. They overreacted, this, that, and the other thing." No. Hold on. I'm sorry. He stepped on the guy's chest and then followed through on it. Okay? My man had to get X-rays and MRIs. Like, no. And I've looked at this from every angle. Everybody's making all kinds of excuses, everything like that. Fine. All right, cool. Here's my rationalization. Okay. I've seen every angle, every replay, and here's my summary report. When you see Sabonis go up for that rebound, Clay kind of aids in him going down. Number 1.
Yep. That's fair.
Number 2, if you're knocked to the ground, right? What's the first thing you do with your arms? You lift to cover your head in that situation, especially when you have a bunch of dudes falling on you. That's what Sabonis was doing, in my opinion. He was looking to cover his head, and it just so happens that Draymond's leg was accidentally, unfortunately, in between his arms. So that's what it looked like to me. And if that's the case, then Draymond surely overreacted. There are better ways. And if Sabonis was holding him, which I don't believe he was doing on purpose, there are better ways to shake out of it. I know he was saying like, "Oh, I'm old. I'm not that flexible anymore." Whatever. Draymond, wait an extra second. You'll get your leg back and just run down the court. If it's the playoffs, you cannot do that to your team. You absolutely cannot. And I do not feel bad for Draymond at all in this situation. Sabonis is responsible in his own way because he was protecting himself, and Draymond his leg was accidentally there. He has a role to play in this. But what Draymond did, absolutely reprehensible, and he should have got suspended. Anybody that says he shouldn't got suspended, they're just I don't know what to tell you.
Shout out to John Alford. He said you sound like Dean Blandino right now.
Never referred to me as Dean Blandino ever.
Now I'm a hop in real quick because absolutely what Draymond did was wrong. I figured the suspension was coming because it's Draymond, but I didn't when Sabonis, like I get what you're saying, he's covering his head. The first thing that went through my mind when I see Draymond getting his leg held like that, and I know Draymond is not this type of athlete, but was Bo Jackson. That's how he lost his hip, getting his leg pulled. Like that is an unsafe play.
That is a thing. I agree.
So Draymond, of all people, knows you can't get suspended for overreacting in a playoff series. He saw his team blow a 3-1 finals lead because he overreacted and got suspended in a playoff series. So Draymond, of all people, knows he has to display some composure. Mm-hmm. But I can absolutely get in the moment you feel that pull on your leg and you just think, get the guy off me.
Right. Would it have been, I'll ask this to both of you, like, would the discourse be any different if both Draymond and Sabonis were suspended?
If they were both suspended, I think so, absolutely. I think the discourse would definitely be different.
I don't think we'd even be talking about it if both of them got suspended. It would be like, all right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on. Next topic. But because it's Draymond and because of his history, we got to talk about this.
Yeah. And I think that also plays into it. Because and shout out to people who had the time to do such things. But there were plenty of sites on social media who had 2 to 3 minute compilations of Draymond Green on the ground doing
kicking people things, and grabbing people,
grabbing legs, holding on, falling onto people, and taking his time. And I think that plays into it as well.
Absolutely. Draymond's history has to be a factor.
Yeah. And you've seen that in the past with players. Where you've watched, there are plenty of videos on YouTube, on anywhere on social media where you will see games where you're like, you'll see a player like a Dennis Rodman, and you'll see something that gets him ejected. And when you look at the specific the specific act that gets him ejected in a specific game, and you're like, that really wasn't that bad.
I mean,
but given the person that he is, his history, he's got to go.
I mean, a name that'll be familiar to all of us. To your point, Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah,
that's the name that pops in my head because once he got the reputation, he was getting teched faster than anybody in the league.
There's a video of Rasheed Wallace getting ejected from a game for literally looking.
Tim Duncan had that same thing.
Tim Duncan too. Yep, him and Joey Crawford used to get into it all the time. But you've seen that, and Draymond now has that type of history, whereas it does not take much for people to feel like if Draymond is involved, severe action needs to be taken. And Draymond, if he is the veteran, if he is the mature veteran, the savvy veteran that he is supposed to be, he has to know that.
You're right.
There's no way, and honestly, that probably has to come from within the locker room, where a Steph or a Clay or somebody else on that team is like,
Steve Kerr.
We need you. We need you. And at this point, that's got to come off like stating the obvious, but sometimes it needs to be said.
I don't know if you have time to pivot to one more thing because we're kind of getting in this groove about like player safety and like not getting hurt or anything like that. But the Ja Morant injury, the Giannis injury, these injuries that happen because of taking charges.
Yeah.
I don't know where you guys fall on that. I think the offensive foul, like I think that's I don't want to say pivotal part of playing defense, but it's definitely important.
Absolutely, I agree.
I personally would not eliminate the charge call altogether, but what I would do maybe is extend the restricted area out a little bit further.
Maybe another step or two, but maybe a step, like a foot or two, but I wouldn't want to go much further than that.
Right. I'm not talking about like the foul line.
Like not much more than for me, like maybe another foot or two, because everybody who grew up playing basketball understands that at some point when the defender's there, you can't just go recklessly trying to take off over him. And that's what some of these guys are trying to do. Like,
because that's how people get hurt too.
Like the offensive player, like that's why it was called a player control foul, because the offensive player has to maintain his control.
Yes.
So we're just these guys are just kamikaze pilots, get a step in the lane and take off, and then want the rules to protect them. Like, you're supposed to play under controls as well. So I get it. Like, it's bad to see these guys taking these falls, but play the game under control.
And for those of you that disagree and are just like, oh, well, this needs to be done because too many people are getting hurt. It's like, okay, let me stop you right there. Gordon Hayward and Paul George both broke their legs just coming down off of layups. So what are we going to do? We're just going to eliminate layups. We're just going to stop people. We're just going to stop people from. We're just going to stop people from jumping in the NBA. That's what we're going to do now. Okay, all right, fine. We'll see how the ratings work on that.
No, and I've seen people trying, kind of use this to make a bunch of different points. Like, I've seen people try and use Morant and Giannis's injuries, Tyler Hero as well, but as their stepping stone for the argument against load management. Like, oh, these players are missing such and such games a year. Now they're in the playoffs getting hurt. What's the point? And it's just like, it'd be one thing if these guys were going down with like hamstring injuries or back tightness. These are all, unfortunately, this is just a string of freak incidents.
Right. And the undercutting at the last second, like, fine. That I will say, all right, that needs to stop. If you do that, that's an automatic flagrant 1, and like, that's it. I would even go so far as to say flagrant 2 and they're ejected, because you're literally
it's a dangerous play to come under somebody's legs.
You are intentionally trying to hurt somebody. So flagrant 2, you're ejected. But if you're a defender and you beat somebody to the spot, you should be kind of rewarded for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I get it. It's a bang bang play to try to call it like that, but that's why we have replay in the NBA now. As much as people hate it for whatever reason.
No, it is what it is. You hate the long delays, but you respect the accuracy.
Exactly. I'd rather
you appreciate them getting the call right. You just wish it would. You wish it wouldn't take as long as it does sometimes.
I'm a journalism major, John. Jonesy, you're both in the journalism media landscape. If there's one thing I learned from all of my journalism professors, it is much better to take the time and to get it right than to just throw it out there and be first.
Agreed. All right, with that,
it's better to be right than to be first.
That is true. With that, what are you looking forward to this weekend? I'm not sure when we'll get another 83 to Infinity podcast, because the weekend's coming up. People got things to do. What are you looking forward to when we come back? When the new week starts on Monday, will the series be over? Will the Sixers Nets series be over?
Yes, absolutely. The series is done. The series is over. Forget it.
I'll take that.
Let's get ready for Boston.
I have a non-Sixers question for you real quick, just around the league. Knicks, Cavs, what do you have in that series?
7 games. Make sure you tune in for every game.
Yeah. Same. I
got Knicks in 7.
Knicks in 7? Okay, I would take
I got Knicks in 7. I think it's going to be a good one.
I got Cavs in 7.
Cavs in 7?
I got Cavs in 7 only because they would have the home game 7.
Good point. I'll tell you my prediction after game 7, and swear I got it right the whole time.
All right, so let's just run them down real quick before I get out of here. Sixers Nets, that series is over.
Yeah.
Boston Atlanta, that series is over.
Good
God. Oh my.
And I'm ready for people to stop telling me how great Trae Young is as well.
Oh my Lord, that series is over. That series was over after the first half of game 1. Miami and Milwaukee, that'll go 6. Cavs Knicks will go 7. I have the Cavs in that one. Out west, of course, I have the Kings in 6. I have Denver. Get the brooms out. That series is over.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up on Memphis yet. I still like Memphis in 6 or 7.
No John, game 2.
And I like the Clippers in 7.
Okay.
That's the interesting one.
Okay.
The Clippers are not Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton. Literally, the Clippers walk in and was just like, yeah, we ain't afraid of y'all.
And the Suns have no bench depth.
None.
0 bench depth. They had. I was like, wait, don't they have Landry Shamet? And I was like, wow, he's not doing anything in the series. Jesus.
This man broke out Landry Shamet.
I had to. It's the only bench player for Phoenix I can think of.
That is true. That is true. That is true. Adio, where can people find your work? You work hard. You do a lot of things. You're everywhere. Where can people find you?
So you can always check out anything that is written by either myself or my colleagues at Liberty Ballers, libertyballers.com. I am on Twitter at Adio Royster. You can follow Liberty Ballers, the site at Liberty_Ballers. I also do a weekly podcast on the Liberty Ballers Podcast Network hosted by Vox Media. It is the Out of Sight podcast. It gets recorded and released every Monday. So check that out. Like, follow, subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts.
Was that the podcast you had me on when we were talking about Iverson and Kobe?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's a great podcast.
John Brown came on for our summer engagement series, the Sixers What If series.
I'm stepping my features game up, y'all. I need to do that. I need to do that. I need to get on. I need to get on more podcasts. I've now dedicated myself to doing that. I'm stepping my features game up. But make sure you check out Adio Royster. See that's what that.
Blame it on
the. Listen, hey man, teachers and adults have been screwing my name up since I started elementary school, so it's all.
Man, but we're your friends. We're your family. I should have gotten that right. Adio. Make sure you follow him. Make sure you check him out.
Mom messes up my name sometimes.
No, man. I did you wrong.
I appreciate the apology.
Hey, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you, man.
Always love being here. Just give me a call next week when we play Boston and we're inevitably down 0-2 coming back to Philly.
Oh, I'm trying to get up to Boston for one of those games.
God, really? Dang it.
I'm trying to get up there for one.
All right, see that's a whole nother
John, if you're gonna do Jonesy, do yourself a favor. If you're gonna go to Boston for a game, what you want to do is you want to find a hotel that is within walking distance of the arena. The last thing you want to do, and I know this is going to be an inflammatory thing to say, but it's been said about Boston 1,000 times. The last thing you want to do in Boston is walk around as a black man. I'm sorry, but it's been said. Adam Jones, famous player for the Baltimore Orioles, he was definitely on to something. You don't want to be walking around in Boston. Like, you want to be able to walk 3-4 blocks max to get from your hotel to the arena.
Well, I have some people in Boston, so I know some of the locals.
There you go. Never mind.
So I won't be completely on an island.
All right, cool. I know. Because I worry about people that do that to themselves and put themselves in that kind of situation. That's all.
And that's fair. I've heard Boston's reputation, so
I'm just saying I'm
going with security.
I've seen The Departed. I've seen The Departed, and I will not be going to Boston anytime soon. I'll just put it back.
Make sure you bring your laptop, bring your phone. We need that Jonesy and Brown correspondence live from Boston. I'll be here at my house where I'm safe in my basement. That's where I'll be. But if you do that,
JB wants the internet smoke. I want it in real life.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? No problem admitting that. Yeah. I am I'm a keyboard gangster.
Yeah,
that's it. I'm a Twitter gangster. It's all good. Adio, thank you, my brother.
Always a pleasure.
You.
Appreciate you.
Yes.
That was Adio Royster of Liberty Ballers. It's always good to have family on. Always good to have family on, man. Hey, once again, download this podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast. Just go to bitwsports.com. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Jonesy and Brown or at BITW Sports. Final thoughts from Mike Jones.
The Nets stink. They got a couple good players, but that's a team that, wake me up next week.
Sorry. Joel Embiid is the MVP. He will show by the end of this series. You will know he is the MVP. Sixers are a better team. I apologize to everyone I let down by saying it was going to take them 6 games. I was wrong. I'm wrong a lot on this show. It happens, but you like me, and that's why you all keep watching. That's why you all support Jonesy and Brown, because John Brown will come on here and be wrong a whole bunch of times and admit to it. But it's all good. You love
Final
me.
thought.
Yes.
For anybody paying attention.
Yes.
Tomorrow's Jonesy and Brown, when we're talking football.
Yes.
You will hear me say I was wrong.
What? I don't care what we're talking about. We will start with that. I don't know what I know.
And I'll say it happily. I'm glad I was wrong.
Okay. All right.
But I was wrong.
Make sure you check out the Jonesy and Brown podcast later on this week. Sixers, Nets, hopefully by the time we come back with another 83 to Infinity podcast, that we'll talk about it. All right, you guys, thank you for checking us out. We will see you guys whenever we turn these cameras and mics on. Peace, y'all.
Peace.